Good evening, good evening. Another week in the books. Get right into it, right at the 3 minute mark, like usual. Just wanted to make sure we hop in and do our weekly update and you know just um, make sure that we actually going ahead and getting our weekly touch point. What up, Round Man? What's going on? What's going on? Hope all is well in your neck of the woods. I watched your video earlier, so um, very interesting topics surrounding that TRT. So definitely got to advocate for ourselves and do the deep dives, man. Definitely got to advocate for ourselves and do those deep dives. Walking the pup. Nice, nice, nice. Hey, what up, Paul? I've been meaning. I was meaning to email you too, Paul, because I got to talk to you about the interview date. So once I jump off of here, we can talk to it. We'll talk about it real quick. Yeah. Very interesting, man, with the whole TR. You know what I mean? Because I'm definitely one that believes in deep diving into those numbers, man, for sure. You definitely want to like go a little bit farther than what it is that you know the uh, the physicians do, because they definitely they definitely just a lot of times be grazing over stuff. And I definitely also agree with RMZ about the male providers. You know what I mean? I've only had a male provider once, and that was short lived. Needless to say, that was really short lived, man. It was a real crazy thing too, and I'll talk about that a little bit tonight too, because that was a mess. That male provider. I only had a male provider probably once as an adult male, because when I was a child, I had a male provider, but that was just like because that's when my parents took me to the neighborhood, physician. So, yep. Let's give it about 20 seconds and we'll jump right into it, man. Um, we just want to give everybody a chance to like kind of sign in. Anybody that's seen the invitation earlier to jump on. So just like to give them a couple minutes before we jump in. Please like the stream. We got 5 watching and 1 like. Hey, Doses of Shiny, how you doing? We got 6 watching, 1 like. So please like the stream. Please like the stream. So that way, we train the algorithm that this is what everybody likes to see. So that way they'll notify you guys anytime I pop on. Make sure you hit that bell. Hit that bell. So that way you also get to get that notification. Because if you guys are my regular subscribers, I know you already subscribed. If you didn't hit the bell, let's make sure we hit that bell. You know what I mean? All right, y'all, let's jump right in. Let's jump right in. This was week 64. Week 64, right? That is something else. Hey, Sweatpants and Champagne, how you doing? Super, I want to say it was a really good week. You know what I mean? It was a really good week. I think that the things that I've been doing for the last couple of months actually, started to actually show results this week. You know what I mean? Especially what I've been doing for the last, I want to say 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Because the last 3 weeks, I think I really turned up. I know I really turned up. You know what I mean? But I told everybody, I said, once I get, my surgery kind of like jumped in the way, for a little bit, and now that, I'm pretty much clear of that, yeah, 64, man, 64. Now that I'm pretty much clear of that surgery, you know what I mean? I'm back to myself. Like, you know what I mean? I can go ahead and get busy like I was way back in the beginning, you know what I mean? So yeah, so way back in the beginning, for those that don't know, hey Darian, what up, man? So you on time tonight, huh, Darian? I know last week we caught you taking a nap. Darian showed up on time this week. He wasn't messing around. Yeah, but no, in all seriousness, I think that the results started to show because I lost 2 pounds. You know what I mean? So I ain't had a 2 pound loss in forever. You know what I mean? So that was decent. But I really feel like um I got behind. I think I was actually I was eating in maintenance. You know what I mean? Like my calories was kind of like those maintenance calories. So yeah, I know, Darren. I was just messing with you because I think last week you was driving or something, or you know you was in a meeting or something like that. So that's all I was kidding. But yeah, I actually feel like my work is starting to pay off. You know, all of the walking and you know what, and even like the lifting the actual free weights because I've I was lifting more weights than I usually do. Usually I was using like resistance training, you know what I mean? Like just going here and using my own body weight, you know what I mean? Um, because I have an issue with the right side of my neck. I always say my shoulder, but probably shouldn't say my shoulder because it's not kind of like the shoulder. Because the shoulder is kind of like here where the ball joint is and going here. This issue that I have is kind of like right along like that neck line. You know what I mean? I want to say like if you were to kind of like come to the inner part of the shoulder and then go straight down. That's kind of where I get like that pain when I'm lifting weights. So that's what kind of prohibited me. But I kind of fought through and really, kind of did a weight regimen over the last weightlifting regimen over the last 3 weeks. And lo and behold, and like I said, I stopped eating in maintenance. And when I say eating in maintenance is, you're eating at the calories that would maintain your weight. I stopped doing that, and I actually lowered, my actual intake a little bit, and I reincorporated the protein shakes, right? Because I felt like I was eating, I know I was eating probably a bit too much calories. I mean, I was eating above 2,000 for sure, So now I just lowered it, and when I say lowered it, I mean just like slightly, very slightly. When you lower your calories, you shouldn't do no more than about 200-300, something like that. You don't want to lower your calories drastically. I'm not a person that counts. I eat pretty much the same things like I've always said. So it's not like I kind of know what it is that I'm eating, so I don't really have to worry about it. You know what I mean? But for the purposes of the fact that I was at the 224 for quite a bit of time, I said, well, let me just check everything. And I did, and it actually worked. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I was probably overeating a little bit, eating in maintenance. So that's why I was kind of sitting at that 224, regardless of what I was doing. So now I'm at 221, 0.7. So that's why I said it's 2 pounds. It's not, like, because you said 224, 20, that's 3 pounds. It's 2 pounds because it's 221.7. So I actually, like reincorporated the Premier shakes because I had stopped doing the shakes because I felt like that was having me in the. Well, actually, I wasn't even doing Premier. I was doing Muscle Milk at one point, right? And it was 40 grams. So I went to the 30-gram Premier shake, and it's a bit lighter. So I've actually still been able to lose weight even while utilizing those. So I do that. I do kind of like the cashews and things like that. Because I only eat twice a day. You know what I mean? I eat twice a day. I don't eat 3 and 4 times a day. But I know that my earlier meal was too heavy. So I decided to switch that up. And keep the really heavy meal for my dinner time and the lighter meal for my lunchtime. You know what I mean? Because I just don't eat breakfast basically. I've never really was a real breakfast eater, except for on Sundays. On Sundays we do have a decent breakfast in the morning. Before we do, like lunch or dinner. So that's the one day that I do go ahead and I make sure that we do have like a whole breakfast. Either my son will cook or I'll cook a lot of times. On Sunday. So that's generally like me or him that will do that because my wife usually cook throughout the week. So and then she kind of likes the breakfast too. And we'll talk about her journey a little bit later. But yeah, lo and behold, I had a great week. I mean, an excellent week. Because now I'm down 98 pounds. I'm just 2 pounds away from being 100 pounds down, and that's motivational. So everybody that know me know I'm gonna get it right. I'm gonna get them 2 pounds. Sooner rather than later. That's for sure. We're gonna be 100 pounds down before you know it. So that means that I went from 319 pounds all the way to 221, right? So I just got 2 more pounds to put me out of obesity. You know what I mean? In all actuality, though, it's really 1 pound. 1 pound will actually drop me under a 30 because I'm a 30 BMI right now. So if I actually was to lose 1 pound, it would actually put me at like 29.8. But for good measure, like I said, when I started this, I wanted to drop 100 pounds. That was my first goal. So we pretty much right on the precipice of my first goal of being 100 pounds down. And I ain't stopping there. You know what I mean? The one message I thought about tonight was, heavy on the jumps. What up? Appreciate that. So what I thought about, tonight was, on this journey, you got to go all the way in. You know what I mean? You got to be all in. I mean, all in, 110%. And remain consistent. That's the name of the game. Nothing else. I mean, we could talk about all of this. You ain't stopping for sure. 184. Hey, well, listening to RMZ earlier, being at what I think he says at 192. His video, you might be right, Darian. Another 60 some odd weeks from now, maybe I will be at 184.9. Yeah, so you know what I mean? Like that's the thing, man. I feel like, like I said, that 20 pounds it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like that's my goal, and I'm gonna definitely make sure I get to it. RMZ gonna be 178. Oh, hey, RMZ, you going for 178, man? You trying to get down to the under 180? Hey, Darian, man. Darian, you right behind us. You right. You saying you saying all that. You mess around and hit Wonderland before I do. But yeah. So I mean, everybody know my goal is to be right around 200 pounds. You know what I mean? At only 5'4". Yeah. I guess Shiny tell me how tall she is. Yeah. So if you 5'4", Shiny, you probably gotta hit. I'd say probably 150. You know what I mean? You probably got to hit one. No, well, not necessarily. To be out of obesity, you don't. But I mean, to be like probably where you probably want to. You probably somewhere around probably somewhere around 160, somewhere around there. For somebody that's 5'4", maybe 150 though. I might have been right the first time. It's something like that. But again, we don't really care about BMI all like that over here. BMI is very, very, you know what I mean, like a loose topic. You know what I mean, but we all want to be off of that obesity marker. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing we really use it for, is to be under that 30. So when you go to your physician, they're not, having to because you didn't hit that marker. You know what I mean? So get out of that obesity. That's my thing. I definitely don't want to be, in that category. So like I said, I'm very, very close. I'm just a pound away from, not being considered that, which is big. You know what I mean? But everybody know my last video was about the tape measure. You know what I mean? Because that's really what it is. Like 195 by June. Yeah, yeah, that's a good one too. You know what I mean? Hit that 195 because it's good for maintenance. You know what I mean? So you can gain weight, heavy on the jumps, and not necessarily worry about going past where you're comfortable at. If you get down like that. But yeah, I want to hit like right around 200 pounds. So that'll be good for me. I do have a doctor's appointment coming up on this coming Thursday to meet with the physician's assistant to spine, a neurologist and spine special, because I'm still having that pain when I lift weights. And I really like the way, and again, most people that know me know I was heavy on resistance training, but using my own body weight and not necessarily using the actual weights. And now over the last several weeks, I've used them. And I really like what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? So once you start, you kind of get addicted to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So once you start, that was just Sweatpants and Champagne saying thanks to RMZ. I think she put TMZ, but she meant RMZ. Yeah, she meant RMZ. Yeah. So like the thing is, once you get started, you get kind of used to lifting those actual weights, you know what I mean? And you start to see what it's doing for you. And I really like what it was doing for me over the last several weeks. But lo and behold, I got that pain again. You know what I mean? Right there along the neckline. And it's very, very painful. So, I have been taking ibuprofen for the last several days. So even, with all of that, you know what I mean? The weeks that I did get in, I slowed up on them this week since I got my appointment coming up. Just to because I really want to get to the bottom of it. Because I've been to like Rothman and stuff like that, but generally they just tell you, hey, take the ibuprofen, it'll calm down, and then go back to it. But I really want to get to the bottom of it. I would like to get some sort of imaging so I can see, hey, Jim, what up? I would like to get some sort of imaging so I can see what exactly is going on, right there with that lifting weights. Because I was just amazed at how much progress. I made so much progress in the short time that I was actually using the actual weights. You know what I mean? Like just in my own body, like what I was seeing. I was like, wow. And that just lets me think, like lets me know like how quick, I could see a turnaround if I actually was using not just my body weight, but the actual, physical weights. So it really piqued my interest. So, I was like, you know what? Like, if this is doing this, I got to keep going. But like I said, unfortunately, that pain in the neck area kind of slowed me down. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I do now. Is look. Yeah, you know what I mean? That's good, man. That's good. What up, Teddy? What up, Teddy? Hope all is well. That's good, heavy on the jumps. But see, me, like I said, I had that pain going down by my neck. So it's always something. Like when I go to really get into lifting, something happens to where I end up, having some sort of injury that kind of is like a setback. So, it ain't nothing but the devil though. We know that. So I kind of just try to fight through it. And like I said, now I got an appointment because I want some sort of imaging. So they could just kind of get in there, let me see what's what. And then that way, I can have a better plan. But I definitely want to keep lifting those weights because I'm telling you, like I literally, and I was telling my wife, I said I could really see how good this could be for me if I could keep going. You know what I mean? Like I had very good response from it. You know what I mean? Like I instantaneously saw changes like all in my chest area. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm saying instantaneous, but I mean what I'm saying is over like the course of like a good 2 months of like utilizing the weights the way I would. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like what I'm saying. Just seeing like how my body reacted to the actual weights, got me excited. You know what I mean? So, and then my wife, yeah, for sure, man, definitely need to link on that. You know what I mean? Because you could definitely probably like, show me, I'm saying some stuff there. You know what I mean? Like I could utilize because I've been pretty much trying to, I'm really like I really like looking at hypertrophy. You know what I mean? Like that's really like the thing because it's not for me. It's not so much of getting like big. I don't want to really get like to have them really big. I just wanted to be like stronger and look, more like start to have more of a cut. You know what I mean? Not big. You know what I mean? I'm not looking for that at all. You know what I mean? So because I've been big forever. You know what I mean? I just wanted to look more aesthetically better. You know what I mean? And I know like just very quickly I started to like. I was like, wow, like, you know what I mean? Like, I just didn't know my body would respond to the weights the way it was because I wasn't able to lift them, you know what I mean, for so long. So now, being able to lift them for the last couple months, I just really liked it. And then my wife, I ordered her some because, we do stuff at home, you know what I mean? We're not really like the gym people. Like we were years ago, but we just like, more comfortable doing it at home. And most people know I'm outside with it. So like, I do all my walking and everything outside. I don't use a treadmill due to my foot. My feet, I can't really use treadmills because of the bouncing. I have to be on like the ground. So I'm better on when I want to incline, I go walk up a hill. And that's legit. So you can go and look at my shorts and you'll see like, I walk a hill before I do a treadmill. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I do. I do outside. And as far as like inside, I do, like I said, the free weights. So that's kind of like where I'm at with that. But as you can see, like I said, in my results, now I'm down 98 pounds because I was kind of stuck there. But now, like I said, addressing my actual calories, not eating in maintenance, you know what I'm saying? And like cutting that I want to say I cut about 300 calories out of my daily, you know what I'm saying? And that 300 calories, and I replaced it with a protein shake. So when I say I cut, I kind of changed, you know what I mean, what I was eating, and I replaced it with the protein shakes that I kind of went away from, you know what I mean? So with me doing that now, like I said, I've seen results. So I'm actually, real excited about that. And of course, I'm not going to change much because, the one thing, like I always preach to everybody, it's all about consistency. It's not about a bunch of tricks or anything like that. It's about never, ever, ever stopping. You know what I mean? Keep doing it, keep staying. Because we all talk about that spare tire. You know what I mean? When I was talking when we had that tape measure talk last week, you know what I mean? We were talking about that spare tire, and that's the thing. I've seen reduction in that. My body fat percentage did go down another couple percent. I want to say tenths of a percent. I'm still at 29, but I'm not at the higher point of 29. I'm at the lower point, so I could be 28. Before you know it. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean about the body fat percentage. Because everybody know I'm really not a proponent of the BMI. I don't want to I don't believe in the 24 or 25 BMI. I believe in the body fat percentage. Is where the true health lies. You know what I mean? Shrinking that midsection, making sure that visceral fat, which is the most dangerous fat, is not something that, you know what I mean, is hiding around the corner. You know what I mean? So if you're able to get a tape measure and go ahead and measure that belly right around that belly button, and get that body fat. Obviously you can use your scale too, but I mean measure those inches. You know what I mean? Know where you stand. I know I got about probably at least 8 more inches before I can be considered healthy. You know what I mean? About 8 more inches, and probably I want to say about 4% at least, before I want to consider myself truly healthy, regardless of how much weight I lose, you know what I mean? So that's where I'm saying the recomp come in at, you know what I mean? Where I'm talking about really diving in and getting into those weights. So like I said, with my doctor's appointment coming up, hopefully I can get some in and they can give me, good news on me being able to lift without feeling that pain, you know what I mean? I just look for muscle. I just look for muscle. That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. I hear you. I hear you. So for me, and like I said, I'm not the guy that's like looking for the bodybuilder aesthetic. I'm not looking for that. I just want to be, what I'm saying, comfortable in my own skin, which I am. I am now. I am very comfortable, but aesthetically pleasing to myself in photos and things like that. And I'm really really getting there. And at some point I will do a shirt off at the pool. You know what I mean? It ain't happened yet, but I'm getting there. I'm definitely getting there. So I'm doing all the work, but a lot of people get disturbed about the stomach, but the stomach is the last thing to go. You know what I mean? So we all know that pretty much it takes everything. It's not like one specific thing, because you got people that jump out there and be crunching away and doing all of the core work, but in all actuality, it's about everything. It's all about it's about the sleep. It's about eating. It's about I don't even like to say the stress, because I use that loosely. I mean, the stress can play a part, but I don't feel like the scientific stuff is behind that. Now, when I say stress plays a part, it's because of the actions you take because you're stressed. Meaning, like, you might not sleep as much. You might be eating too much or not enough. Like, so the things that stress causes you to do would probably be a factor in you gaining or not losing, or losing more than you like to. It go either way. But realistically, I feel like the main contributors is more so you not sleeping enough, you eating too much or not enough, and you not actually getting the proper amount of movement in, whether that be cardio, resistance training, or both. You know what I mean? That's kind of like what I mean by that, because realistically, all of that is what's going to actually get your belly down. You know what I mean? You got to do all of the things, and you keep doing all of the things. You stay consistent. The belly is the last to go for the most of the time. You know what I mean? Because it's not like you can talk to our body and say, hey, lose weight here. Hey, lose weight there. No, you have to just make sure that you actually stay consistent for the long haul and do all of the things you're doing. And naturally, it's going to actually start to, move its way out of the way, I should say. You know what I mean? But yeah, just a very good week. Like I said, I'm actually at a 30 BMI now. I started, for those that usually haven't watched me or seen my journey. All right, cool, RMZ. Holla at you later. But for those that don't know, you know what I mean, and probably haven't watched my journey, I started at 319, and my BMI was a 43 at that time, which means that I was clinically obese. You know what I'm saying? I was probably 3% past clinically obese, and now to be at 30, that 13%, 13, points in BMI drop is tremendous. Like I said, in a little more than a year. You know what I'm saying? That's just a year and 3 months. You know what I mean? So I think that is I know that is absolutely amazing. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of people that would like to do that. I'm on 12.5 milligram. I don't plan on going anywhere. Not no time soon. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily see 15 in my future just yet, because I feel like with me losing and everything, starting to lose and whatnot, I think it can be done without me going up to the 15. But we'll see. But I'm not saying I won't, because I could. You know what I mean? I very much so could jump up to that 15. I'm just not sure that I will. You know what I mean? I'm not sure that I will, at least not today. You know what I mean? But ultimately that could happen. You know what I mean? That could happen at some point down the line. You know what I mean? I'll promise myself I was staying on this at least 6 months. at least 6 months, I'll be on the 12.5 before I go to like a 15, because that's your highest dose. You know what I mean? So if anything, because you can always go back down, right? If I go to the 15, I have any kind of issue, then I can go back down. But we're gonna see. We're gonna see what I look like by June. You know what I'm saying? I've been having the same 8 shots of 15 milligrams since December. I mean, you probably gotta elaborate on it. You said you had the same 8 shots of 15 milligrams since December. Does that mean you stopped using it, or I'm not sure what you mean by that. But the thing is, for me, is like I said in January, I wanted to take 6 months. So we'll see where I'm at in June. You know what I mean? I want to see how it is that how I end up, in June. If I'm losing, you know what I mean, like I want to, or I haven't used them. Okay, cool. Well, that's good, man. That's good. That's good. You know what I mean? Like you've been able to, not use them. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'll ever be that lucky. You know what I mean? I don't mind. I'm gonna keep taking my shot. I'm on the other side of that fence. I don't think I'm gonna stop using my shot. At least not now. I mean, like I said, I'm 64 weeks in, and I don't see it. My food noise is too great. You know what I mean? Like even with me being on 12.5, because I lost weight. Again, for those that don't know, I was explaining more in my interview with RMC. Cool. But for me, I want to say I actually lost weight for 40 weeks straight. That most people that know, I lost about 84 pounds. Okay. I lost about 84 pounds within in 40, probably a little less than 40 weeks, actually. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I lost every week. You know what I mean? I didn't miss not 1 week losing. I started losing from the rip, and I lost all the way through until my foot surgery. That was the thing that I always say slowed me down, because I probably would have been at this particular point a lot sooner had I not had the foot surgery and had to slow down. So the thing is, now here's the thing. Anybody at any given point could possibly, slow down, you know what I mean, for any various reason. But I know for me, it was more than likely, like I said, because of like that foot surgery. So now that I don't have to deal with that, well, I still have to deal with it because it takes about a year to heal. But I'm saying I'm in a much better place. I'm able to actually work out, move around and stuff like that now. I've actually been able to get back into that original routine, that I had that was actually netting me that consistent weight loss. You know what I mean? I was constantly, able to like lose weight. And again, my ultimate goal is to be 200 pounds, well, 199 to be exact. I'm going to be exact because I do believe, based on, like I said, an obesity doctor, a well-tenured obesity surgeon, pretty much said that those of us that have been clinically obese for a long time or been just obese for the majority of our lives don't have the same goals as just everyday old, people that have never been obese, right? Which is to be under a 24 BMI. We want to kind of get to like that 27. So what puts me there is to be 200 pounds. You know what I mean? And I'm just 21 pounds from that. So that's why that's like a real goal for me over this course of this year. Because last year was really about just losing weight and learning to eat and all of the things. Even though I did the walk and resistance training and all that stuff any old way, I just feel like this year I'm able to dive more into that because I'm not thinking about like, what it is that I have to do as far as, food to be successful. Because I know what that is now. You know what I mean? So I believe that across this year, appreciate that heavy on the jump. Because I believe that this year will be that kind of like that body recount. That's just all I really want to focus on. You know what I mean? This side of the journey, and just continuing to talk to everybody and help people. You know what I mean? Meet them where they at. Because like I try to tell everybody, every week we get on here and every week somebody just took their first shot. Because a lot of times we get on here and we had these conversations, and sometimes we are repeating ourselves, right? So we got 10 people on the stream, 11 people, and we got 6 likes. So please take a moment and just like the chat, subscribe if you're not subscribed, hit that bell, that notification bell, so you know that we go when we're live. You'll be notified. So, but yes, please take the moment and like the chat. We got 12 watching and 7 likes. And if you have any questions, feel free to put Q's in the chat. Generally I get on here. Year 2 is about recomp. I agree. My husband's about to start. He's listening to. Okay, sweatpants. That's exciting. Sweatpants and champagne. That is very exciting. I'm glad that your husband is listening, and tell him to shoot on over to G's 1 of 1 And look out for that men's panel. We got a men's panel coming later this month. Later next month in April. Look out for that because we talking about the men's health on there, which is very important. RMZ had got on earlier today and talked about, his journey and where he is, and talked about the prostate cancer, talked about the TRT that he just started. So there's a lot going on with men. So that's very exciting. Sweatpants and champagne. That's very exciting that he is actually watching and that he's on this journey. So hopefully, I could say something that would, motivate him, you know what I mean, to definitely get excited about the journey, and this, jump on this thing because it's amazing. And I mean, me and my wife are on it together too. So I think that is something, if I'm you, I would share with him as well because, it's better together. You know what I mean? And if there's any questions, just feel free to put the cues in the chat. I'm used to just, going on and explaining my week and stuff. But if anybody got any questions, feel free to ask. And I did say I would mention my wife. She had a really good week too, a really good week. She's finally in the 150s. She basically, I'm saying finally, she only been on the journey she's going into her 30th week. Okay, she's going into the 30th week, and she's finally hit those 150s. And she was either 158 or 159 this week. So that means that she had she's down about 39 or 40 pounds now, in just 29 weeks. She did that, So she's on 10 milligrams of Zepbound, and she's doing amazing. One of my sons is listening with me, and I'm sending all you guys links to watch. He's going to take the meds, but I still think he's encouraged. Hey, that is hey, doses of shine. I'm definitely anytime you can get guys, man, to watch, it's exciting. It's really exciting. And like I said, I hope that they actually go back and look at, the journey, because when I first started this, I did something called The Whole Story. So I would encourage them to go to my channel and watch the very first video, right? That very first video called The Whole Story, because that really tells people, where I started at, you know what I mean? And how I was, kind of born in that 27 and constantly gaining. Oh yeah, tell them to jump on, man. Jump on. Yeah, please jump on and take a listen and get on his journey. Definitely get on his journey, because right now, with the state of things, you definitely don't have to be in that situation. If you have access, if you have access to, he has access to you, being his mom, but and also the treatment. You got access to treatment. That's definitely a good thing, and I feel like at this point, there's definitely help out there, and you don't have to remain that way, because like I had started to say, when I first actually started this to actually utilize treatment, I was actually 319 pounds, and I went to the doctor, and she told me that I had a 7 out of 10 chance of having a heart attack in 10 years, and that kind of started me off on just really taking the treatment and really buckling down. I had always tried things, I've had personal trainers, I've lost weight in the past, you know what I mean, but I never was able to keep it off. It's always good to be fueled by knowledge and not misinformation and disinformation. Please send any questions or concerns. Yes, please do. Please send any questions that you got. Drop them in the chat. You know what I mean? Because I'm willing to answer anything it is that somebody might want. With me being on this journey for more than a year and losing nearly 100 pounds, 31% of my body weight. Like I said, starting out clinically obese, and now literally I'm just shy of being overweight. That is like amazing. When I'm saying these categories, like, moving categories now, it's just, I'm thrilled, And then even like I said, still like clothes shopping, my clothing, it fits like so much better. I've dropped down like a good deal of sizes. I can go and get a 34 now. My shirts are extra large. I even put a large on when I was in the store the other day. And I was looking at it because I'm like, if I lose another 20, 25 pounds, I'll probably be in a large. That's probably where I would end up at. You know what I mean? So, but I was talking about my wife. I did, like I said, that's a quick update. So she's been on 29, 30 weeks. She's lost 39, 40 pounds, like right around either 39 or 40 pounds. You know what I mean? So that's amazing, because I mean, that's literally just shy of 20%. 20% of her, everybody know I'm a big percentage guy too, because I like to make it make sense. And the thing is, the reason why I do that is because we have a lot of ladies, on the journey, and like with ladies and men, sometimes it's hard to kind of like have those comparisons. So just to make it make sense for others, I'll say the percentages. So she's lost nearly 20% of her body weight in, just, about 7 months, right? So that's absolutely amazing because 20% is all, Eli Lilly really pretty much, kind of like promises the average is after 72 weeks. So if that gives you any idea, I think she's going to get to her goal. You know what I mean? So her goal when she started out was to lose about 55, maybe 60 pounds. And she's already lost 40. So she's well on her way at just, 30 weeks, start her 30th week, this week. And obviously, right along with me, she's doing all of the things. She's, I mean, she watched me, you know what I mean, go through this journey. So, she doesn't she's a professional. You know what I'm saying? She knows what to do, what not to do. You know what I mean? She's doing resistance training and all that stuff, man. You know what I mean? So, and I also did that video too, talking about making sure that we are encouraging people around us. And for sweatpants and champagne and Shani to have their husband and their son on here, man, that is I'm telling you, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's so exciting. And I'm glad that we can be here to influence, you know what I mean, and help motivate them and let them see, firsthand, how this looks, and what it looks like to be on the journey. And so like I encourage them to go back and look at my, like I said, the whole story and just go straight to my videos. My videos kind of tell it all because when I first started, I want to say for about, heck, I want to say my first 40 weeks, I was, detailing every week along the way. You know what I mean? I do more lives now, than because it kind of like things shifted that way to go live versus doing the videos. So I don't really do many videos no more. Maybe I'll do a few, now that I know more people, we got some more guys that probably are kind of looking for that kind of thing. I'll do maybe some short videos that's maybe like 10, 15 minutes along the next couple of months while I'm, trying to, continue to recomp and lose the rest of my weight so they can see how that goes, and that way if they have questions, they can always reach out. But realistically, man, the biggest, advice I would give any of them is to take your shot and keep taking your shot and be consistent. You know what I mean? We can talk forever about, protein shakes, calories, how long to walk, resistance training, I mean, the whole gamut, you know what I mean? Supplements, the fiber, the prebiotic, probiotic, all of the things. But realistically, the one word of advice I'll give is the same thing that Christopher Durham said to me. You should do more videos when men come to my channel. I refer them to you for a male opinion. Yeah, I'll do that. But just know, the videos are there though. I have plenty of videos there. They can start at the first one and go all the way through about 40 weeks. So the most of my loss, the first 84 pounds, I detailed them. So if they go to those videos, they're there. I don't know how many are. I probably got, I don't know, 30, 40 videos on that already on my channel. The last video I did was probably, I think November or maybe October, something like that when I first got out of surgery. But as far as someone that's just starting the journey, it's all there. It's all there. They can definitely go and watch the videos from the whole story straight through. And I pretty much detail my week by week by week. But like I said, back then I never had a gain. I lost every single week. Every week I was 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 4 pounds. My first month out, I lost 15 pounds. Right when I started taking the 2.5, and I moved to the 5 the next month, and I lost another, I want to say 12 pounds the second month. My third month, I pretty much stayed at 7.5 for about 3 months. And in that journey, I probably lost about 9 pounds every month after that. And then I actually moved to the 10 for 1 month. It was a little bit too strong right away. I went back down for 2 weeks, went back, realized that, hey, I need to be on a 7.5 for a couple more months. And then back in September, I moved to the 10. And everything else is history because basically I had the surgery and then I moved to the 12.5 at the end of December. So that's why I said I've been on 12.5 to this point. And, I think I'll be here at least till June. I don't see doing any movement. And if I get where I want to be, I won't go anywhere. I'll just stay on the 12.5. But the one thing I am going to do, and I'm a strong believer, is in that I need to continue taking my shot. Why? Because I'm somebody that really suffers with food noise. And I know that the disease of obesity is real for me. I feel like people that are able to start the medication and stop the medication probably never needed it. They probably never needed to be on the medication, right? They probably could have done it without it. Me, I know that I probably would not have. I needed this medication And that's why I'm a huge proponent of continue to take your shot. And why I said that the biggest advice I give them is consistency, number one, and keep taking your shot. Don't miss your doses. And once you get on, stay on. Period. Now, where you go on that dose, that's up to you. You know, you could be on a 5 milligram, you could be on a 15 milligram. You know, whatever works for you. You know what I mean? But my thing is, don't ever stop taking it. That's it. Point blank. Period. You know what I mean? That's my number one thing. Just definitely don't stop taking your shot. Insurance is a thing, you know what I mean? Because I know Heavy on the Jumps was talking about some of that. It's definitely a thing, you right? So if you actually are able to be insured and they actually are paying for the medication, you know, that is a blessing, right? So I empathize for anybody that actually lose access, right? Where there's a will, there's a way. And usually people that lose access, I ask them, you know, I tell them, I say, hey, I don't recommend any other time, but in that case, because this is a medical need, you know, look for a trusted compound, right? And the reason why I say that is because it may be a bit cheaper, and you might be able to figure out how to pay out of pocket for compound. Because I'm well aware that, you know, everybody can't afford, you know, the $400 that it would take to be on, you know what I mean, branded vials, you know what I mean, or $450, or if you're on the higher doses, right? So I understand that, you know what I mean, but you know, you may be able to find compound for more like $250. You know what I mean? You know, obviously at this point you can get semaglutide for probably about $150 now. That's from somewhere. But I mean, from trusted, reputable, you know, compounders, you're probably gonna still spend around $250. You know, even a really good, you know, good one that's affordable. But I mean, that cuts it in half for you if you actually lose access, because you definitely want to keep taking it. I mean, me again, I'm a strong proponent of branded, but if you have to, you know, go to compound, right, go to compound route. You know what I mean? I think that there is some amazing news coming down the pike with. I mean, for those of you people that don't know, I manage a pharmacy. You know, and that's pretty much all I ever usually say about that. But yes, I manage a pharmacy, so I usually know a lot of things before other people. You know, so because I see all of it. You know, I see the contracts. You know, I know things that are commercially happening that I don't share, because I never mix my personal business with my channel. But you know, I do know for a fact that, you know, one amazing thing that just happened this month is that the commercially insured individuals are able to get 90-day supply again. For the longest, we were only able to actually provide 30-day supply, you know, and that actually wasn't prescribed until you actually were finished with the previous box. And now, for those that are on the pen, right? If you're actually on vials and you're going Lilly Direct, that's a different story. But for those that are still, you know, working through the pharmacies and commercially insured, right, you actually are able to get 90-day, but your doctor would just have to write that script. So your doctor has to rewrite your script. You know, you have your physician rewrite your script. And I thought about, like, because I've been getting the monthly as well of the pen 12.5, because I'm on the pen, not the vial. And I thought about, I said, well, hey, you know, maybe I'll go 90-day. But I said not so fast, because, you know, here's the thing. If you're on the higher doses, it's probably fine to get 90-day, right? Blue Cross Blue Shield said last summer that they will not be covering weight loss because of the price. So I started stockpiling. I don't blame you, Jen. I don't blame you. But yeah, they did. They have said that. So you know, just self-identify. I also have Blue Cross Blue Shield, but my PBM is Optum, right? So my PBM is Optum. So with my PBM being Optum, you know, my weight loss treatments are covered, right? So because that's my benefit manager. So the thing is, you know, there's a multitude of that's very smart and proactive, Jen. Yeah. So the thing is, you definitely are able to get 90-day. You know what I mean? Now, you just have to have the doctor write the script. But again, I only suggest that for people that are on high dose that aren't going to actually be coming off, right? So have them write that script and give you that high dose. So, you know, you can get those months in, because I strongly feel like if you're able to get yourself through this year, there's going to be some really good news coming next year with the pricing. I feel like pricing is going to take another dip. I'm not saying it's going to drop $200, you know what I mean? But I think you could see something close, you know what I mean, to like another $50 or $100 next year, when we actually get, you know, retatrutide or orforglipron and, you know, some of the others that are coming down the pike that are going to be in competition. So competition is good, because that will actually, you know, affect price. And if Lilly is smart, which they are, they'll drop the price enough to where no one will even buy a compound because the new branded price will be compound, right? So yeah, Optum RX. You are with Optum RX heavy on the jump. Yeah, we have to talk more about that though. So I mean, because sometimes there are certain subsidy, certain different entities within that. Yeah. So, yep, yeah. To talk about details, yeah, we had to probably talk offline about that. But yeah, you know what I mean. Like there are like the price changes are going to definitely uh, be coming next year. So if you could just hold on, get through this year, I think for most people that's on it next year, they're gonna have some good news because I feel like the prices are going to drop because there's going to be way too much competition. I mean, way too much competition for Eli to stay that high. And realistically, they can pretty much do away with the compound market themselves if they just drop the prices. Honestly, I said this a long time ago. I think that I truly believe that Zepbound probably should be about $250, not $450, and the Wegovy probably should be about $150. I'm talking about pens. That's where it should be. They should both be cutting their prices in half. And I don't know if it'll go that far, but I think it'll go close, at some point soon. And they won't have to worry about going to court with compound because nobody would use it. Nobody would use it. If Eli don't give me a contract, I'm good. But yeah, I think that what I mean. Like I said, if you actually are on one of those medications that don't get covered, I would personally say try to find like a good compound. And then you got some people doing the pills, right? You got people doing the pills now. The good thing with the orforglipron is that you won't have to have those parameters that the actual Wegovy pill has, right? Yep, I'm a nurse, and that's the word in the streets. Price will drop. Oh, for sure, for sure, for sure. Yes, yes, indeed. Yes, the price will drop because competition is heating up, and those individuals commercially insured that are now able to get 90-day. It was said politically that it was. And when I say politically, I'm not talking White House, not that debauchery. I'm saying just for, corporate wise, right? It was more about adherence, right? They wanted people to be able to be adherent. So if you do get an interruption in treatment based on insurance, you at least have a few months to figure things out. And I think that's very respectable. You know what I mean? If you can actually have a few months and you're not abruptly, knocked off of, what it is that you're using. Me, you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm probably gonna go ahead and just get start doing the 90-day as well, personally. But I was saying people that aren't yet at their higher doses that might be thinking about it, not so fast. I would probably stick to the monthly so that way you have that leeway to move around, right? You can actually decide which way you want to go, right? So, if based on, what your side effects are, if you have any, you know what I mean? Or if you like, getting, good food noise suppression and things like that. If you're not, then yeah, you might want to look at, moving up, right? And you can't do that if not. But like I said, I'm glad that the word is spreading around. We got more guys getting comfortable. We do have, like I said, that panel coming up. So tell them guys to keep, just keep watching and stay motivated. Take that first shot because the first shot is pretty much, after that, everything else is history. And I promise, once you get on a journey, it kind of has a mind of its own. You know what I mean? It takes a mind. It takes, it kind of takes shape to where it kind of leads you, down to you get on the Lilly payroll at Jumps. It kind of leads you down the path of your something that you probably didn't think you would. You know what I mean? Because you actually start to like see things, with your body that you didn't think was possible. And you get motivated to keep going, you know what I mean? And I don't mean just losing weight, but I mean just everything, just your overall health, you know what I mean? It improves so much, you know what I mean? Like it improves everything. And for me, like I said, if I could go back to at my lab work, because I have a video on there too, where I actually detail my lab one at a time, right? I go one at a time. Because we get the acronyms, and a lot of people they don't actually know like what those acronyms mean, right? You see like the AST, A1C, and you know what I mean. All of the panels, like you know what I mean. And then so basically, what happens is when you actually see those, you get confused. So what I did was I literally went with my very own, lab work, and I went line by line, right? And we started out with the cancer screenings because I did the cancer screenings first, right? Because I wanted to get cancer screenings. I did the prostate cancer screening. I did, we checked out the liver. We checked out, the cardiovascular system. We checked out, what else was it? What was the other one I did? I did the thyroid, a whole list of them, and went through everything because I got the comprehensive panel, which had everything in it, And then following that, because I wanted to be super comprehensive, I got a colonoscopy, right? I did the colonoscopy instead of the Cologuard because I wanted to be, I wanted imaging, right? So I'm all about imaging. I want someone to actually see, like visually put eyes on what's going on, and not, just be, the random, tests that have lower probability, right? I like the high probability. So that's why I went through that. And lo and behold, I'm happy to report, yeah, I had absolutely not even a polyp. Everything came back amazing. I had nothing. It was 3D clean, right? So my colonoscopy was good. All my blood work was good. I did go and see the cardiologist. I saw my cardiologist, and that's something that I didn't talk about with you guys. Or maybe I did on last video. I'm not sure. But I did see my cardiologist on. I did not. I didn't talk to you guys about it because I went to see the cardiologist on Monday, and my video was last Sunday. So I didn't cover my cardiologist visit. So I'll cover that now real quick. So I went to see my cardiologist, and the last time I seen this particular cardiologist had been 4 years, right? That wasn't the last time I seen a cardiologist. That was the last time I seen that cardiologist, right? Because I had went to a different cardiologist. Because for those that don't know, I had an irregular heartbeat, so I regularly get heart ultrasounds. I say regularly, I say annually. It should be annually. And that's just to make sure everything remains okay. Now, when he saw me this time, he said, well, he said you lost 70 pounds, man. I said, well, no, that's from the last time you saw me. I said, I actually got heavier because it was COVID, and I've actually lost at that visit 96 pounds. He was like, wow. He's like, you lost 96 pounds? I was like, yeah, I lost 96 pounds. And then I told him what I do. You know what I mean? I told him, obviously, I was utilizing Zepbound as a treatment, but that I also, I actually walk, daily. I do resistance training. I eat a whole food diet, things like that. And he actually examined me, you know what I mean, everything. They did the EKG, right? And he said, well, I had the nurse was in there first. So the nurse did the EKG first. And, she, hooked me up, did the EKG. She's like, oh, this EKG is beautiful, right? Now, mind you, I'm somebody with an irregular heartbeat, right? So for me to get a beautiful EKG, that's a big deal, right? You know what I mean? So she's like, oh, this EKG is beautiful. So then when he came in, he's like, hey man, I haven't seen you in a while. He's like, but you lost all this weight. He said, you're doing all of these, these things with the resistance training and eating the whole foods and, all of that. He's like, and your EKG was beautiful. He's seen the lab work because this cardiologist is connected to my, primary physician's office. So he's seen my lab work prior, to the visit. And he said, honestly, he said, with all of this and EKG, he said, I honestly, based on today's visit, can't recommend, that you actually get an ultrasound this time. You know what I'm saying? Because you really don't need it, right? He said, based on my physical examination, based on the EKG, based on all your results, he's like, but if you want it, and y'all know me, I said, of course I want it. So I actually made my appointment to get my ultrasound on the 16th. So the 16th of this month, I'll go and get my ultrasound because I'm just that type of guy. Like, I need to see everything. You know what I mean? Like, I need imaging again. You know what I mean? I want imaging on everything all the time, So I'm definitely going to go for my ultrasound. And that really would actually be a total, health overhaul for me. You know what I mean? To be somebody that just, November before last, right? November 2024 was told that, I probably have a heart attack in 10 years, to my cardiologist saying to me, this is, you look amazing. I'm very happy with this visit. I actually love visits like this, and you don't need a heart ultrasound because your EKG was beautiful. I think that that's a big deal. You know what I mean? So I was elated at that, but I felt, I remember, I said I was going to do it short, and I didn't do it short because it's been a busy week. I just really been focusing on myself. So hit the like button. Yes, please hit that like button, y'all. if I got any questions, just put the Q's in the chat, and I'm definitely willing to answer any questions that you might have. But just to hear that, you know what I mean? Like I felt like that's tremendous. You know what I mean? For my health to go from where it was to where it's at, and got to pat myself on the back because the scariest thing at first is to take your first shot. So anybody that takes the leap to start anything, make sure you don't forget to clap for yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back because it's not easy, right? Because you got a lot going on. There's a lot of excuses we can make, but your health ain't one of them, right? You got to make sure that you're on top of that because without health, you got nothing, right? And if you got family, they depend on you. It ain't just about you. Especially if you have children, young children at that, they depend on you. So you definitely want to do the right thing. And this is where obviously, I am talking to the men. I'm talking to the guys that's just now thinking about getting started because that's something that we don't do. We always put our health on the back burner, and when people ask are we okay, we just give them that, yeah, I'm all right, you know what I mean? And we're not, so you definitely want to actually make sure you start taking care of your health. That's the most responsible thing to do. Now, I know that we're not going to be honest and say, well, I'm not scared, I just don't like it. But, in actuality, there is some fear there. A lot of us are scared to go and hear new things, especially about our body because it can be scary. And the first thing you think is, oh, well, they're going to find something and, I ain't going to be able to, overcome it. But I like to say the best way to actually make sure that you're healthy is to find out as soon as possible because it's the best outcome, right? As scary as it might be, it's best to go find out right away because that is how you end up, actually beating whatever it is because you found out soon enough. When you wait too late, a lot of guys wait too late, and it's a much tougher fight. You know what I mean? So you want to catch stuff early, and I'd like you to dig a little bit deeper, based on your age. You know what I mean? If you're a young guy, yeah, you can go and get the basic testing. Try to eat better. Take your shot, lose some weight. But if you're an older guy, meaning 40 plus, right, and especially if you got a family history, you probably should sign up and get that colonoscopy, right? You probably should get that PSA testing, right? 45 is standard, but if you got family history, you probably want to go as young as 40, right? For either colon cancer, any type of cancers, you know what I mean? You definitely want to probably get there, at least by 40, right? But, more of a standard is probably like, it's definitely 45, right? But still do it, just do it and don't wait. Don't rely on anybody else to try to, pull your leg and drag you down to get there. You know what I mean? Just go ahead and take care of it yourself, So that those are the messages I have for the men tonight. I definitely would say, take your shot, right? Start the treatment, be brave, go to the doctor, get all of your blood work and start attacking it, right? Attack it from the position of preparedness, of a knowledge base, and then fight it, whatever that is, if it's anything, right? Because a lot of times it's not. And believe it or not, it's a big stress reliever when you actually go and it's nothing wrong, right? If you go and you nothing wrong, and then that's where you can pretty much say, hey, I did the right thing, and you can be happy that you actually took action, for your health. Because I feel like a lot of the ladies do it, and they have a bigger support system, right? I wish all y'all the best on your GLP. Absolutely, I feel like they have a bigger support system a lot of times. I mean, even the YouTube community, it's a lot of ladies, you know what I mean? And the men are not as heavily represented. And like I appreciate Sweatpants and Champagne. She said I was the first guy that she saw. So that is one of the things that keep me coming down here every Sunday and talking to everybody because I feel like I can reach somebody somewhere, with what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So I know it's not in vain. Even if my subscribers don't really say it yet, I know that I do influence people. Because like I said, even though my subscriber count is not one of the bigger ones, it's definitely the most important people I feel like are in those numbers, right? Because they all in one way or another, some of them have big channels themselves, so I just feel like I'm doing the right thing by doing this. So I plan on keep doing it. I just want to make sure before we I get in the comments and wrap that I didn't forget anything. I don't think I did. I did cover my week. I covered my wife's week. And I actually talked about, the cardiologist, what it is that I'm doing. I do have I am going to be planning on doing an interview. I'll be doing an interview with Paul. We are going to change the date. I told him to get with him after this just to let him know because I do have something on the date me and him first planned. That I actually so I won't be available that date. But we're going to set a new date. but I'm definitely going to actually make sure I do, the interview, with him, so that way, his audience gets, to kind of hear from me as well, because I think I do feel like I actually provide, certain knowledge to the space that's pretty helpful, if people actually learn about me and they know that I'm here, right? So if people don't know I'm here, they can't get help. You know what I mean? So there's that. You know what I mean? I think that so let me just jump in the chat. Make sure I didn't miss any comments or anything like that. Before I bid you guys farewell for the evening. Um, you know, I don't think I missed anything though. Yeah, I don't think. Like I said, if you guys got any questions, just put them in the chat. I'm open book. I definitely can answer them. Yeah, so I pretty much got. So like I said, if anybody, like I said, got any questions at all, just feel free to ask. You know what I mean? You can always put questions in the comments on the page. You know what I mean? Like or whatever. You know what I mean? Because I put pictures and stuff up there, so you can comment on my pictures. So go and check out the latest pictures. You know what I mean? Because I told myself I said I got to do some more pictures. I mean, I think the last pictures I had up there was for my birthday. You know what I mean? That'd been a couple of months, so that had been yeah, about 2 months ago. So I said, well, let me take a couple pictures and put them up there so people can see my current, And I believe it or not, even though I wasn't losing as much weight like I was in the beginning, my body from me doing all of the working out and stuff was still recomping. You know what I mean? Like my body definitely changed. You know what I mean? So when and what time are y'all having the men's group? We didn't post it yet, so I won't put that out there, but it'll be. I'll make sure we'll make sure everybody knows about it. Like I said, we will heavily advertise it. Trust me, it's in the next couple of weeks. And generally, it's usually. I don't know if you're on the East Coast or West Coast, but if RMZ is on the West Coast, so generally it's usually around like 6 on their time and 9 Eastern, because I'm on the East Coast, so it's usually 9 p.m. and it's usually on Tuesday nights, right? So it'll probably be a Tuesday night at 9 p.m. on the East, 6 p.m. on the West, right? And Central is probably gonna be 7 or 8, depending on where you are. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, have him subscribe, and yeah, he can feel free to ask me any questions that he has. You know what I mean? And once he gets started, has he started, or does he already has he already been prescribed a treatment, or is he thinking about just thinking about doing it? And the same thing for you, sweatpants and champagne. Has your husband actually started the treatment, been to the doctor, or spoke to them about it, or are they just thinking about it? That's actual question that I had. I mean, feel free to just drop it in the chat. If for sure, for sure. Yeah, drop it in the chat. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. So he's picking up. He's picking up. Okay, so he's actually starting the treatment on Wednesday. Okay, okay. So is he like is it I mean, if you don't mind, you don't have to answer it, but I'm just saying, like, is it like a Zepbound or a Wegovy, something like that? Is that what he's prescribed, or is it like is it injectable or is it pill? Because I know everybody's doing all kind of things. Oh, Zepbound. Okay, great, 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 great. That's a great choice, great option, and I bid him well. And I don't know his schedule, but I mean, when I first started, I was taking my med on a Sunday, which wasn't the best. Um, and later on, I figured out that it's better to take it Friday morning, at least for me, because you actually have a couple of days. You know what I mean? Because generally, like, at least for me, it takes about 24 hours before I would feel anything, and I would have Saturday and Sunday to. So I would, if I'm him and he's picking up on a Wednesday, I probably, and again, I want people to go ahead and get started, but I probably would take it on Friday because it'll give him a couple of days if he, has any kind of, like side effect, to have smooth landing when you first take your shot versus taking it in the middle of the week. That would be one thing that I would suggest, because I was doing that for some time. Okay, okay. Well. Yeah. I'm glad he's listening. But yeah, I would definitely, consider. That's not. Oh yeah, and he's younger too. At 27, he might have other options. You know what I mean? I wouldn't. Now, I mean, obviously he's of age, but I'm saying he might be able to actually do some things before starting a treatment, because treatments are long term, right? Treatments are long term. Like y'all ladies know me, right? Like I'm very to the point. I'm very direct. You know what I mean? I don't hold back. And my thing is, when it comes to the treatment, I think it's a lifelong medication. I don't think it's something that, if you actually suffer from obesity and you need the treatment, it's lifelong. It is lifelong. Now, I'm not saying you're gonna be on Zepbound your entire life, right? Or Wegovy, but what I'm saying is you'll probably be on some sort of treatment most of your life, because it's something that works, within the brain, right? And it's something that is probably needed. But now, for Shani's son being 27, he may have a few more options before actually going to. Oh, I absolutely no, Shawnee. I know. You ain't even have to explain that. I totally know exactly what you mean when you say that, for sure, for sure. So all I was saying was, I think I don't know his personal profile. I mean, we could talk offline. I don't know, like, personally. We can share all that on here, but he might have more options than an actual weight loss treatment, depending on where he is, in his health. You know what I mean? But I would say, if he hasn't, obviously as a nurse, look at his blood panel and see if that is actually, obviously being a nurse, you already know what to do. Like, hey, let me really check his, ask him to get a comprehensive metabolic panel if he hasn't had one, and then you can approach it, obviously from that. And I know you already know that, you know what I mean? Like that way y'all can approach it together, from a standpoint of what he really needs, for real. Not just like a conversation, but you can actually see, in real time, hey, these are the things that's going on, and this is the best approach, you know what I mean? Because, it might not always be, a medical treatment, you know what I mean? He might be able to do some other things, but I think that it ends up a lot of times being a medical treatment. And honestly, I honestly wish that I had this medicine when I was like 30. It would have been so much easier. You know what I mean? When I was like 30, oh my goodness, because I went the long route too. I had a personal trainer. I actually lost. I had just to the short version. I was actually most of my adult male life, I was 250 pounds most of the time. Most of the time, that's where I was at. I wasn't 320 pounds. I got to 320 pounds through the pandemic, right? Sweatpants. Oh, hey, look now, don't start nothing now. Don't you start nothing there tonight, sweatpants and shit. Yeah, I want y'all to have a good night tonight. Don't be starting no trouble. Turn the TV up so you can hear me. But no. The thing is, when I first started, I actually, when I went through the pandemic, that kind of did something to me mentally. Because like I said, I was essential. So with me going into work all the time, I was terrified because I was actually obese and I had all of the comorbidities for what could lead to COVID disease and result in death. So I was very paranoid, and it caused, I actually took a personal leave for a while. It really messed me up, when we ended up dealing with COVID. So in dealing with that, I gained a lot of weight. You know what I mean? I probably was like 270 when it started, and I was 320 when it ended. You know what I mean? So that makes sense. I gained 50 pounds just through that. But for the most part, as an adult male, I was between 250 and 270 most of the time. I just packed on all that weight, across like a 2-year period. You know what I mean? Even though, I feel like COVID lasted really 3 years, but through that 2-year period. So during COVID, what happened is Pfizer actually came out with the vaccine first, and I actually was one of the pharmacies that got it first. And what happened is, I actually, in order to actually receive the vaccine, I'd like to say I was probably one of the first people in the state of Pennsylvania to actually get a COVID shot, right? Because I said, hey, for me to feel better, I got to feel protected. So for me to feel protected, I needed to actually get this shot. And the reason why I was one of the first, now, if you guys can remember, when those shots first came out, they wanted to give it to immunocompromised and the seniors first, right? If you was immunocompromised, meaning like you suffered from, something that would, make you susceptible to death, like, let's say lupus, you know what I mean? Or something along that lines, different types of cancers, different types of respiratory things. You actually were, had the ability to receive the shot first, right? And remember, it was very delicate to handle. And I was one of the first people that was able to receive that. Yeah, hey, I'm glad you did listen to that one. I'm glad you did listen to that one because like I had really seen some things that week and I just felt like it needed to be said, like to make sure that helping your family, don't get on here influencing other people and you leave your family behind. But yeah, so with the vaccine, what it was is we went into the senior homes and we were inoculating, we were giving the vaccine to the seniors in that facility. So giving the vaccine to the seniors in that facility, we had to get inoculated first. So I was excited about that. And I want to say that was January 15th, I believe, of either 2020 or 2021. It escapes me now. Whenever that was, it was in 2020 or 2021. Might have been 2021. But I was one of the first people in the country, I want to say, that actually got that vaccine because literally it came right from, the lab, right to us. And we literally jumped into the senior homes immediately and started giving the vaccine to the elderly. But I was one of the first to receive it because we had to inoculate ourselves first. Yeah, that was me. That was me. I had to, kind of put that out there because, like I said, I had just seen, we all see it, right? You know how we online, we see these alarming pictures of like these families members, and it's like people get online and they like, telling other people like what they should do on their journey, and I'm like, but your significant other or your child or whatever, is not, I can't get on here and be influenced to other people before I take care of my household. That's just how I am. You know what I mean? That's just man law. You know what I mean? Like you got to take care of home first before you do anything else. And I can't get on here taking my time out influencing other people before I do my significant other or my children. Right. And that was kind of where I left it at because I'm not saying you're responsible for your entire family. You know what I'm saying? For your I mean, it'd be great, if you can get all of your siblings, your parents and all that, but you can't. You can't. So the best you can do is this and let everybody see it. But as far as your significant other, you're one. So if you have it, so therefore you definitely need to be on them about their health because, and again, you shouldn't have to, but there's a part of, again, if you step out on faith and you become an influencer or a content creator or whatever, then yeah, it's a responsibility. You know what I mean? If you weren't doing this, then I probably wouldn't say it because I feel like you don't know where to start. But you on here every week talking to everybody about what they should do. You got to tell your family first. You know what I mean? Your family got to hear it first, right? You know what I mean? So you can't be half stepping. You showing up, you looking all good and healthy, and your partner, is inches away from, unfortunately, a demise. You know what I mean? That's just crazy. You know what I mean? So I would say anybody that wants to hear that, please go back and listen to it. I don't want to go that far today. I try not to be, that deep, all the time because I don't want to push people, off of things. You know what I mean? But you can go and check that out. Please do because that was a really good live. You know what I mean? And I think the more people should hear that. You know what I mean? But there's that. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, for me, tonight, I just wanted to get into like, those things. I think I was talking about my weight. I was between 250 and 270. Like I said, most of my adult life I ballooned to 320 and I got on this treatment because the doctor said I could have a heart attack in 10 years to get myself down. And to date, I'm 221 pounds. I'm 98 pounds down on my way to, I guess, 120, when I hit that 200. That would be my total loss. And looking for my body fat percentage to decrease because obviously that's where the true health is in body fat percentage. And making sure you get your visceral fat, decrease to be, truly optimally healthy and not just looking at your total scale weight because total scale weight could go down and you can still be very unhealthy, right? So, and there I go into body fat percentages for men, women, BMI, all that stuff. So, like I said, check out the videos. It's all there. So don't want to keep you guys forever tonight, but please, all the guys that's watching, go back, look at my first video, watch it all the way through. The videos are only like 20 minutes, so it's not long like the lives like this. So you pretty much probably could binge watch the videos and get through them pretty quick. But it gives you like a week on week, thing that I did, all the way through. And just like I said, the main thing is, get your shot if you're going to get on medical treatment and take that treatment. And anybody got questions offline, feel free to ask me offline. And you can comment on the picture, and email me, that should be in there. If it's not, I'll make sure that I do put it in there. You can hit me on my DMs in the regular social media. If you don't follow my regular social media, it's G's33. So it's G's33. That's on Instagram. You can hit me there, in the DMs there, and I pretty much, I respond there. If you want to talk further, if you have personal questions, any of the guys that's watching, you can hit me here, hit me on the DM, wherever, you know what I mean? We can talk about it, you know what I mean? If you got any questions, I'm an open book. I'll tell you all about it because I'm pretty much know what it takes, and it's just pretty much consistency. Take your shot every week. All right, y'all. So like I always like to end all my videos, all my obesity warriors, stand up. We in it together. And thank you guys for tuning in tonight and spending a little bit of time with me and bringing your, families, because that means a lot. All right. Later. Have a good night. Appreciate y'all. Later, Darian. Later, Paul. Talk to y'all. Later, Muscle, GOP.